Recently, I had the pleasure of speaking with legendary toy designer Eddie Mosqueda and getting a hands-on look at the prototype for the unproduced Toxic Crusaders POLLUTO figure. A figure that has topped many lists over the years of unproduced toys that we wish were real. I know that's true for me. It's something that I have always wanted ever since first seeing that image floating around the internet. And the good news is that our wish is about to come true, because POLLUTO is finally coming. An officially licensed POLLUTO figure is on the way, and today we're going to get a hands-on look at the upcoming figure. That's right, POLLUTO is officially coming. That long-requested, unproduced toy of myth and legend. It's pretty amazing, the story behind the idea of finding this unproduced prototype and then even getting to work with the original sculptor to make it a reality. That is the story of my friend Justin Ishmael over at indie toy company Ish. Ish has made several amazing toys in the past, including one of my personal favorites, Billy Bob Broccoli of the Rock-afire Explosion from Showbiz Pizza fame. Really fantastic action figure. So Ish got the official Troma license to produce a POLLUTO action figure, and he's working with the original designer, Eddie Mosqueda, to make it happen. I recently had the opportunity to sit down and talk to Ish about how this whole thing came together and what we can expect from this brand new POLLUTO action figure.
This was kind of always the one that really stuck out to me, because it was such a good idea for a kind of a dinosaur or kind of like kaiju type of figure made of trash, and it just always stuck with me. And then when I started my company Ish, I was looking for not necessarily Godzilla, but I wanted to do a Godzilla style figure. And then the idea was, oh, well, if this existed, where did it end up? Who has it? Because it wasn't in collector's collections or anything like that. So I started poking around and looked at Varner Studios, who made the other characters in the Toxic Crusaders line, and of course like TMNT and all of that. And they were like, oh, you should talk to Eddie Mosqueda. And I was like, oh, okay. And emailed him, and he's like, oh yeah, it was very casually like, yeah, I've got it. It's in my garage or whatever. It's in my archive. And I was like, oh, that's great. So I drove out to his house, and originally he kind of took like photos of it on, like his table. And it was, obviously broken up for articulation and stuff. And, but like there was that one photo kind of online from like the trade, kind of wherever they were debuting at, whatever convention they had like a pamphlet or whatever. And I think that someone took a photo of that and made it online. But other than that, I don't think there had been anything, high resolution or any kind of actual prototype that existed. But you could definitely tell it was the same thing. Like you're like, oh wow, this is crazy. And so we met up, and he put it together and showed it to me, and it was unbelievable.
As I mentioned, the story of how this whole thing came together is really kind of magical. I mean, just the fact that this is going to be officially licensed by Troma is one thing, but finding the original designer, still had the prototype, and then getting him on board to make this new figure, I mean, come on. That is so incredibly perfect. It couldn't be much more perfect than that, in my opinion.
We got it licensed by Troma to be able to put it out officially and everything. And yeah, to be able to work with Eddie and to kind of get the real story about it, and the kind of history, and just one of those things too, where it was in the works to actually come out, and then they just they weren't going to do more. So there's a whole nother line of figures from that series.
There's a ton of unreleased
prototypes. Are actually probably going to eventually come out, but yeah.
Now, in the video where I spoke to Eddie Mosqueda, we learned all kinds of stuff about that original unproduced POLLUTO. And one of the things that they were working on for that figure was a motorized walking feature. We also learned that he was going to have mounted cannons that could have possibly plugged onto his back that matched up with that walking mechanism. Now, after talking to Ish about what to expect from the new Polluto, he did confirm that they will not be including that motorized walking feature or the cannons this time around, but instead going for a more standard articulated action figure that is more based around that image we saw in the original Toy Fair catalog.
No, it will not be motorized, and there will not be any slime that comes with it. I don't think that it necessarily came with slime. I can't confirm or deny that that was going to happen. The only thing that I do know was I believe that there were some like larger guns that were going to be like attached to him with the motor and all of that stuff. So kind of, so I don't think that like any of that stuff made it too far, because like in the photo I believe it just looks like how, you know, Polluto, like, you know, behind you looks kind of thing, where it's more like the dinosaur, you know, it's more like the Godzilla kind of thing with the barrel legs, not, you know, like locked and loaded.
Right.
But yeah, I think that the main difference is there's no motorized thing in ours.
No slime. Bummer. But honestly, that's probably fine, because when you look at this new prototype for the upcoming official Polluto action figure, it looks nearly identical to what we saw in Eddie's original unproduced prototype. And well, that's because it's a direct scan of Eddie's figure. Yeah,
it'll be like a kind of like a rotocast type of process, like a normal kind of like you know, Sofubi toy or like kaiju toy would be made type of thing. We actually had the Four Horsemen do all of the production work on it. So they scanned, they articulated, they did the test paint, they did everything for the actual production. So yeah, I thought that was really fun to have them involved.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I'm such a huge fan of them. Like I love them to death, and to be able, like, I'm putting out like the Billy Bob figure next week, the bear from Showbiz Pizza and Rocket Fire, and they did the scan and they did the test paint on that for me. So I'm just like, oh, thank you. I love it. So to have them on Polluto, it's kind of like the dream team, you know? It's like Eddie, like a legend, and you have like the modern legends with Four Horsemen on it too. So, but yeah, we sent the original that Eddie had to them. They 3D scanned it, and then I think it's going to be around 11 inches or so in the finished version.
Okay.
So we shrunk it down a little bit just so it fit more in scale with kind of like Sofubi toys and that sort of thing, and just for, you know, production and trying to keep the cost affordable. And yeah, it was actually kind of like, makes it sound really easy, but you know, it's been years now that we've been working on this to kind of make sure everything was right and all of that. So yeah, it's been quite a process, but I really thought it was important to have it and scan it versus trying to replicate it off of a photo. Like I said, I didn't want to guess what the back was like or whatever. I just wanted to, like, mainly kind of like initially wanting to learn about this personally, like where did this thing go, and they'd be able to kind of like turn it into a officially licensed product and work with Eddie and kind of learn the history. It's kind of working out perfectly.
Four Horsemen Studios teaming up with the original designer Eddie Mosqueda. Man, so much talent is involved in the production of this brand new figure. It's really pretty awesome. And when we take a good look at this new figure coming out, you can see that all of those details that we saw in Eddie's original sculpt have been perfectly recaptured here. Now, as Ish mentioned, it is scaled down a little bit from that prototype. It stands about 11 inches tall, which is about an inch smaller, but still pretty big when compared to the original Toxic Crusaders action figures that it is meant to fit in with. And it's going to be fully articulated, so it's going to have movement at the head, the arms, the wrists, the legs, and even have an opening jaw at the mouth, so pretty cool stuff. And when you look at all of those painted details, I am once again blown away by all of the amazing details that Eddie worked into the sculpt. There's just so many cool little bits and bobs all mashed together, since he's essentially a walking pile of trash. And everything is really nicely painted on here. Speaking of which, one of the things that I really thought about was the fact that if this Polluto were actually produced by Playmates Toys for release back in the day, there's a good chance that most of those paint apps would have been cut. So are we going to see all of these paint apps on this release?
So it was painted. The one that we had was painted still. So it was kind of like one of the paint samples. So we had all of it, you know, and so they, when they scanned it, they made sure not to mess any of that stuff up, and then cleaned it up and did the test paint based on the original. So there's really, like, we really didn't try to embellish it too much or do anything that wasn't original, like to what it would have been in like 1992 or whatever.
That's actually really cool, because, you know, a lot of times on those original toys, like the prototype always had a lot more paint than the final release product does. So it's possible that yours is actually going to have more detail than what the retail Polluto would have had.
I know.
That's really cool.
Well, there was like a lot of stuff on it. Like you've seen it in hand now, and you can testify to, like, there's a lot going on with the little, like, kind of like, and it's like, as a Playmates fan, it's so Playmates, right?
Totally.
Or just that era of like the little, and it makes sense because it's the same people that are doing Turtles with all the little like Easter egg type things in the sculpts. Like, I love it, man. I love Varner Studio. Like, it's so cool to finally like meet these people and Eddie and work with him on this and learn the stories. It was just so much, like, even like, it's like when you can watch a movie and appreciate it as a kid, and then like not, you know, there's nostalgia, but then there's actually like, you can look at the movie in a different way as you're getting older. I think that like the Playmates produced toys with that team of sculptors, like, there's just so much you're getting even as an adult when you're looking at this stuff and like, oh, I never realized that was that when I was little. That's cool. So
yeah, fully painted. Amazing. And one of the other questions I had is, what about packaging? Can we expect some cool packaging for this figure?
Yeah, we're gonna try to match it as close as we can to the original packaging.
Oh, cool.
So we're producing a painting right now to match the illustrations on the front, and then for the actual packaging, we'll try to replicate a box that you could put in with the original line that would hopefully kind of match to that style. So I have like a Crusader skater we've been using as like the sample to kind of like, okay, it needs to look like this. Like, I'm looking forward to, you know, probably helping with someone writing the copy, but, you know, like the copy on those boxes was just unbelievable. So I actually want to figure out if we can do it on recycled material, just like the originals too, like recycled like paper or whatever. Yeah. So I kind of even want to look at like the little details they did in the original and try to get as close as we can to the not even to like, oh, it's in the spirit of, but like try to replicate and try to like have this be like a, you know, whatever, like in the 30-year gap between the first series and this. So yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I find all of this incredibly exciting. We're going to get a full-on action figure, articulated, excellent paint deco. They're looking to have a box that matches the vintage boxes. All of this sounds pretty perfect. So, when can we order this? Well, my friends, this figure is on pre-order right now as of the posting of this video over at justinishmael.com. The link is in the video description. Retail price on this is going to be $150 with plans to ship this early 2023. It's not something that we have to really worry about selling out. It sounds like he's just going to collect pre-orders. He's going to order those plus a little bit more to sell on the site afterwards, and then we'll see where it goes from there. So if you guys are interested in this, I would highly recommend heading on over to Checkout-ish, put in an order to get yourself an officially licensed Polluto action figure for your Toxic Crusaders toy line. Holy cow, I can't believe this is really happening. I want to give a very special thanks to my friend Justin Ishmael over at Ish for not only sitting down and chatting with me about this new release, but also allowing me to borrow the prototype to shoot for this video and helping me to just document this whole Polluto experience. You know, getting to chat with Eddie Mosqueda, getting to actually hold and photograph and shoot the original unproduced prototype is one of those incredible things that I just love about doing this. I mean, man, toy collecting is so much fun. Thank you guys so very much for watching this video, and until next time, my friends.